Hey everybody, I'm Sean,
And I'm Steph.
and you're watching Rampant Live with our very special guest, Eric Hartmann from Sea Light Entertainment. What's going on, Eric?
What's up, man? How are you?
Great to see you, man. You are family
Good to
to
see
us.
you.
We've known you forever. You are
I know
family.
it's been a long time.
Yeah. So hey, I just saw Bailey too. Cool.
Yeah, she just kind of walked by.
For people who don't know who you are an entrepreneur. You are a shooter. You are an editor. You're a designer. You also freelance. You're also a photographer. You do everything. You are pretty much a video badass out of New Jersey. Is that an accurate depiction? Would you say?
I wouldn't say badass, but I mean it's somewhat accurate.
I'm going to say badass. I'm going to say badass. See, I have the opportunity to. We had the opportunity. And there's Kelly, his wife. Hey, Kelly.
What up, Eck?
You're live.
She waved.
Nice. Yes, Paul. Eric really is a Renaissance man. The thing I love about Eric is I've known Eric as almost as long as I've known Stephanie. It's been a little over 9 years.
Yep.
Back when I worked for Evil Corp is when I met Eric, and we'll leave it at that. But he's just this guy who has this thirst for video. Who I've seen his skills just explode in the last decade, and we've worked with him in the past. He and his wife have helped us out at NAB. Gosh, how many times, Steph? Like pretty much every time.
Pretty much, yeah. It's been a lot. You guys have really saved us at NAB a ton.
We couldn't do NAB without you. And then we hired you guys. We hired your company to help us build gun effects. And Eric was instrumental in getting the location, securing everybody involved, getting shooters, getting ammunition, he even had friends come over and bring monitors and cables and guns that you can't rent. And I mean, it went beyond what you'd expect to hire somebody for a job. And that is just he's a great person to work with. So we love Eric. So let's start off with this, man. There's just so much to talk about. What kind of work do you see in the New Jersey area? And it's basically New York City as well. I mean, you're literally 40 minutes away. So what kind of video work do you see in that region?
I mean, it's a lot of corporate, a lot of pharmaceutical is what I mainly do. I'm not going to say it's boring, but I mean, it pays the bills. But I mean, that's like the majority of the work that I do is pharmaceutical, a lot of corporate stuff, a lot of internal kind of things. That's really the meat and potatoes of what I do.
I think you're being very modest. Some of the corporate work you've shown me involves doing really just random format stuff. When you talk about that, I mean, you showed me crazy resolution work that you've been working on.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, there's stuff that we've done for like pharmaceutical companies and whatnot, where it was a 70 by 20 foot screen and just, custom kind of things. And obviously we use some of the Rampant, that 3D stereo effect, which was crazy because everyone was watching it going, what? I've never seen this before. What is this? And it got to the point where people came out and they were like, we've never seen it before. And I'm like, all right, well, that was great then. At least we kind of did something that was kind of interesting and different. But yeah.
That's cool, man. Let's see. So let's talk a little bit about what it's like to run your own business. And at the same time, at the exact same time, you're also permalancing for a pharmaceutical company.
Yeah. So there's a pharmaceutical ad agency that, I've been with for a little over 6 years now. And at one point it was, I didn't have to ask when I was coming in. It was just, I'm coming in every day from 10 to 6. And if there was work, there was work. If there wasn't, it didn't matter. I was getting paid hourly. So, I mean, that was a great kind of base that I had going on. And then it just kind of exploded from there. I mean, I was working full time for the comedian Jim Brewer, and then actually the pharmaceutical company was my side work. So that kind of turned into, okay, well, when Jim's company had to fold, this pharmaceutical ad agency came up and was just like, okay, well, it's fine. Like, we have enough work for you. So that kind of turned into that kind of permalancing position. But I mean, it's tough because in New Jersey, it's super competitive, and I don't know if it's like that everywhere else or if it's just, you know, the New York, LA kind of area. I'm sure it's obviously it's got to be crazy down in like Orlando and everything with Disney and everything else. But it's different. It's there's a lot of people that are trying to get in your way and cut corners, and you know, oh well, this guy's going to charge $2,000 for that. I'll charge $1,500. I'll charge $1,000. I'll do it for free. And it gets to the point where it's like,
right,
I got to put food on the table. So how's that going to work? Yeah. But yeah, so that's the gist of it in terms of Jersey.
Yeah, that's everywhere, man. I mean, down here you have people just literally slashing each other's throats instead of raising each other up. They're just like, you know, it's just insane. So, you know, I a lot of the times I won't get a call from like Disney, for example, until the 11th hour because the dude who's willing to work for $7 an hour has painted himself into a corner, you know?
Absolutely.
Well, like just what Did You See the Clown said, you have to value yourself and your
Absolutely.
work. So,
Absolutely.
you know, you can't discount yourself or what you're doing. And these people coming in and slashing, it's cutting everyone down. Mm-hmm. You know, it's unfortunate, really. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, it gets to the point where, I mean, I get approached for like wedding videos and stuff, and even photography. And even most recently, somebody said, oh, you know, we've kind of met our budget already. Is there anything you can do? And I'm like, no, like that's it. Like, I'm there. Like, yeah. we can't go any less. I need to make money on this. I can't charge you $100 to do photography for 4 hours. I'm sorry.
Goodness gracious.
No.
Out there, that doesn't even cover gas, man. That's
no, it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And especially weddings. I mean, people are like, oh, well, no, it's out of my budget. I'm like, sorry. I don't even come back and say, oh, well, let's work with you. I'm like, it gets to a point where, you know, you have to just kind of just say, you know, where's your breaking point? Where is it? So, yeah.
You're also the kind of guy to bring a Ronin to a wedding video shoot, though. I mean, you come into business with a Canon, man. I mean, you've got, and I don't mean the brand, I mean an actual Canon. Your gear is insane, and I love that about you because you've got some of the best audio packages. Yeah, see, there you go. It's just insane the kind of quality of work that you put in on stuff. Because I know guys are like, well, I'm not busting out my Ronin unless you're paying for it, you know. So right. It's very interesting. And by the way, this is going to be a question for a later time, but can I have your Ronin
in front of people?
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a good idea. That's kind of a verbal contract, right?
Yeah, pretty sure this is binding. Cheers. So
we'll talk.
We're talking now, buddy. So yeah, valuing your work. So this is based on what's going on in your world. This is how you've formed Sea Light. Sea Light does pretty much anything someone needs them to do. That's what I love about you. And you've utilized new technology that I'm willing to bet that 99% of editors out there haven't even thought of, and you're using Thumbtack. Why don't you tell people about that?
So it's interesting because the way that Thumbtack works is you pay a certain dollar amount for credits, and then you bid for jobs. So it's basically like kind of like eBay in a sense. So the great thing about it was that, and I just got done shooting on Tuesday for a client that I got from Thumbtack. So I had put in a bid for a job, and the woman said, oh, you know, $2,000 to shoot and edit this conference and blah, blah, blah. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, all right, well, how much time is this really going to take me to do? Am I shooting it in HD? Am I shooting it in 4K? How's that going to work? And I ended up getting the job. It was more than that dollar amount. And then she came back to me this year and said, hey, we're doing it again. Do you want to do it? So by spending like $4 in credits, I was able to turn around over $10,000 worth of work. So,
wow.
I mean, it's crazy.
That's what I love about you. You're utilizing something that people like. I used Thumbtack to get the guy to mow my lawn. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Most people would never think, oh, wow, I can get professional services on this thing. It just doesn't occur. We love Thumbtack, but I've never hired a video guy because if I need a video guy, I'm just calling Eric Hartmann.
Well, you know, that's nice of you, but the flights are, that's where it kind of limits me, you know, to get down to you. But
work virtually. Did you see the clown? Did you see the clown says, Sean, you said that if you place a charge that shows value, the clients think you're worth it. That's true. When you start slashing prices, mentally you're not worth anything. Our products are priced at a point that will never come down. Doesn't matter. If you want us to work with you, we can. My personal rates have been the same and increase. It's just how it is. You're not going to get my best work when I feel like I'm being screwed. So there's just no point in getting involved.
Yep.
So
100%.
Yeah. So here's a question I ask a lot of people, and we all know that I'm pretty passionate about it. And I know you've gone to school. So film school or any kind of collegiate training now in 2016 and going forward, or no?
To be honest, I'm going to say no. I mean, and I was really thinking about that, and I didn't go to a film school. It was a film program, a media and film program in a state college. So I learned everything that I learned by watching tutorials and by watching you. And that was, I mean, you were one of my biggest inspirations, and that's not to, say anything, but that's the God's honest truth. And it was part of the reasons why I wanted to get into doing some sort of like visual effects and After Effects and learning all kinds of stuff. But I learned a lot of that stuff outside of school. So I can't say yes to a film school when you look at how much money you're spending to get there now. Could it have sped up where I went to? Like where I am now, would that have kind of progressed a little bit faster? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, you went to film school, and I mean, you still are doing awesome, but it's like, how can I reverse the question? How do you feel about it?
Well, if you watch Running Rampant there, my friend, I went into great detail, but no, I don't. Look, I'm grateful I went to Full Sail. It was a great experience, but 99% of everything that I've ever done in my life is all on the job training. When I went out to LA, there was editors and Inferno artists and After Effects artists who just took me under their wing, and whatever they were willing to show me, I was stealing it for myself. It was all very selfish. I didn't know anything, but I was just developing my own toolkit, just like going, oh, yes, you're going to show me how optical printing works? Absolutely. Or how to shoot practical effects? Boom. How to run film? How to, yes. The answer was always yes. Inferno? Yes. After Effects? Absolutely. So no, I think right now is the best time to be alive. You don't have to, you can go on YouTube. You can go, you can pay for like Noman training. You can go Linda. I don't know, man. Just bust out your skills online and then learn from somebody, apprentice. There's nothing wrong with apprenticeship at all. Yeah. So, some people are going to hate on me for that, but I'm glad I went to Full Sail, but it did take me a little over a decade to pay off all my student loans. So, and nowadays I can only imagine how long it would take. I was doing double and triple payments, living in a shoebox. So no, I don't recommend it.
But we were talking about the fact that if you I'm all self-taught video stuff. I have a biology and an art degree. I don't have any video training at all. And you can find a lot of stuff online, but I find that a lot of it is tricks. It's not so much theories and why am I doing this or why do I need to do this? And I think that's what's missing. I don't know if you get that from school necessarily, or if you get it from mentoring or being with a mentor and doing internships, that kind of thing. But I think that the big part of online stuff is learning just tricks and only knowing tricks instead of knowing, okay, well, I know how to do this edit, this style because of this. Not, well, so-and-so, told me this is how it's done, so that's how I must do it now from now until the end of time. So I wonder if that's a school thing or if that's just an internship learning on the job kind of thing.
I learned theory in school and I got my hands on gear because I went to Full Sail. That's why I chose Full Sail. It was all gear, very, very little theory. And like, did you see the clown said, it's a good jumpstart. It is a good jumpstart, but I went 20 years ago. I don't know if I'd go now. And what you're saying about people following instructions and only learning tricks, that's because people are just routinely saying, well, so-and-so said, do this, and do this, and now I have a lightsaber. That's fine, but you're missing the huge point there. The point is, how did you get there? Why did you get there? What's the pipeline? What's the how did you get to that particular look? Not, oh, if I put this at 37% and then I move this keyframe here, I get this thing. No, that's only works in that specific situation. So right. I think tutorials aren't necessarily taught properly, but I think most people don't pay attention. They're like, oh, I need to do a glow around text, so I'll look up glow around text. And this is how glow around text looks from now on. Like, no, there's a billion ways to glow text, people. So, but yeah, it's a great jumpstart. If you're passionate and you're motivated, you're going to go past that learning and teach yourself and ask people. And, the tutorials are just a jumping off point. The only catch-all with, or the only caveat with going to school is unless you're wealthy, you're looking at a significant amount of debt. So,
Yeah.
And nowadays, I know what facilities are hiring for and what editors are making, and I don't know how you can survive and pay off student loans and have any kind of quality of life of any kind. So I don't know.
Yeah.
If you're rich or mommy and daddy have the money, or you get a scholarship or whatever, yeah, sure, do your thing. But, I would not want to go back to paying a decade's worth of student loans.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. I mean, there's so many free tools out there nowadays. It's like, you do have YouTube. I mean, back when I was in college, and obviously when you were in college too, it was like there was no YouTube, there was no Facebook, there wasn't, like, you couldn't just go on a forum and ask somebody, oh, hey, how do you do this? Hey, oh God, how good is this camera? It was like you couldn't really look up and see like all those different reviews and all the hands-on stuff and everything. You couldn't do it.
Or if you could, the forum trolls are the worst. This is the wrong room to post that question. You're so stupid. I can't believe you don't know the answer to this. It's like, dude, that's one reason why forums are pretty much dead. And that's why YouTube and things of the like have taken over, is because you don't get that angry troll necessarily who's telling you you're stupid. And then you look at their video log and they don't have any work done,
Right.
Speaking
one
of YouTube,
upload.
Yeah, exactly. One upload. And it's like, it's like a rehash of the Chewbacca lady or whatever. Speaking of YouTube, you did something called the Road Journals, and I think it was at least 5 years ahead of its time. I think if the situation were to have come out right this second, right now, I think it would have been huge on YouTube. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about that project?
So when I was working with Jim Brewer, we went on tour. So that was 2007, and so we went on a tour bus, and we were out for 6 months, and we were home a week, out a week, home a week, out a week. And so he had another videographer who said, hey, I want to do this documentary. I said, all right, cool. Let's do it. Well, as we're doing the documentary, we said, well, we should be filming the rest of this journey and not have it be about Jim and his father. Let it be like the touring with the comedian and seeing like what's life like on the road. How is it with an elderly father and missing your wife and kids? How does that work? I was single at the time. And then we had our other, so I was still in that like transitional phase. That was the beginning of what is now. Right. But so I had told Jim, I said, look, I want to make this kind of made for DVD series, basically. So we had shot all this video, and I just kept putting out little clips along the way. We made, I think it was 53, and they were like 2 and 3 minutes long. And then I said, all right, I want to now make this into a DVD series. So then we made them into, this is, Charleston, this is Florida, this is all these different locations we had gone to. And it was cool. It was something that I was able to have full creative control over, edit it the way that I wanted. I consulted you for, a handful of stuff and figuring out things. But it was cool. It was a good little piece. And it was my first like royalty thing. And it was like, oh, this is cool. This is awesome. And then obviously as time goes on, it kind of faded out. But yeah, that was an awesome highlight for working with Jim.
Oh, it was.
Did you do all of that? Did you film it and then edit it and do all of everything together?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you do it on the road, or was it like after?
It was half on the road and half at home. A lot of the polishing, the DVD was all done at home, because all we were doing on the road was, let's just put out these little tiny clips and just post them to Facebook and YouTube and everything else. And we just kind of built out this little like library, so to speak, as it was kind of progressing and going on. But yeah, it was interesting to be like editing on the road and everything else and kind of figuring things out, because I had never done anything like it before. So I was like, all right, here we go. We're going.
We've got a great question here. It says, what was the most difficult part of that project for you?
It's a good question. I would say figuring out the great content, because we were filming. I would have hours upon hours. Each day was probably 6-7 tapes easily, because we would just film everything, because you never know when you're going to get that like funny moment. So the hardest part for me, quite honestly, was going through all that footage and going, all right, what was that great part from the hotel? And do I want to make that its own little segment, or do I want to do this or do that? So there was just so much content that it was just kind of overwhelming at first. How are you storing that much footage?
Well, this was
Lots.
what? This was DV?
These were HDV tapes. They were just,
that's the best.
Well, see, the worst part about it was that when you're, capturing, it's real time. It's not like these cars nowadays where it's like, it'll transfer in 20 minutes. You'll be fine. 5 hours worth of footage. It's like, no, you got to wait 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a bunch of different hard drives on the road with me, no backups, because I didn't back up at that time. It's like, we lost footage. Well, I'll just recapture it again. It's fine. The tape was my backup. So we had terabytes of storage, and it was just like, here's a 500 drive, here's a 500 gig drive, another 500 gig drive, and we would just kind of just stack them up. And it was just like, okay, well, we would just dump the footage in, and then I'd bring it home, and I'd have a RAID that was all set up that was like a 12 terabyte one, I think, or 9 terabyte, whatever it was at that time. And then kind of editing off of that. So it was a lot of space. I still have the tapes. I don't have a camera, so I can't capture it anymore, but I have the tape. They're somewhere.
You don't have an HDV camera just lying around. Come on.
You know how much those decks are nowadays? They're crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Actually, we had a hobby from the longest time. Stephanie and I had something called Expert Vacations, and it was documenting all the theme parks around the country, and it's all in HDV, and I don't have a player or a camera, so okay. I mean, this is all back in the day. So
nice.
Do you believe? I personally love road journals. It's partly because when I was getting to know you, this is when you first started really getting serious with Kelly, and the show actually documented how obsessed you were with your cell phone. I think that was the most touching thing, because here's the thing. The show's real, right? This is before reality was scripted. This was just a documentary, essentially. It wasn't reality. It was a documentary. It was all real. There was no setup situations. You were there to purely capture. And here you are, a young kid who's got this amazing opportunity, but is torn because the girl that he loves is nowhere to be found, and all you can do is just text.
Yep.
And you got Jim busting you on that because he's in the same situation. He's got a wife and kids at home or whatever, and he's just like, well, listen there, big guy, I got to do it. You got to do it too. And they're just all making fun of you. I thought that was a really genuine, really great scene, and it was very funny.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It like you said, it wasn't scripted. I mean, nothing. We had no producer.
Right.
There was none of that. It was just, okay, here we go. We're recording. And, I was like wasted at this Kentucky bowling alley, and they stole my phone. And Jim said I look like a crack addict because I'm like, where's my phone? Where is it? And they had stolen my phone, and I didn't know if they were texting her or what. And this is before, the iPhone, that was before that. So it was, the flip phone and everything. And I'm like, oh God, there's no password on it. Like, what's going to happen? And yeah, that was the funniest part of that, because I didn't know where it was going. I mean, it was so early on. We weren't even dating at that point.
Right.
So it was an interesting little thing to look back on, because it's cool. You get to see like, okay, well, here's Eric, and he's editing while laying down. Oh no, I'm sorry, he's texting. He's texting in his bed on the bus for 4 hours. Yeah.
Well, hey man, I do the same. I can't be away from stuff for more than 20 minutes before I'm like, but that's what I loved about your show. That's why I think it's so ahead of its time. Is you weren't searching for a story. You were just telling the story, and there was no canned moments. There's nothing redone. There's no weird situation where some people are in the know and some people aren't. It was just you documenting this really interesting thing that most people don't get access to. And I think if it were to happen today, it would be a huge hit. I love it. We've rewatched it many times. Of course, got a DVD copy as well, because my boy up there made it. But it's just one of those things where it's like, you've done so much. You're a very successful, a wonderful human being. Eric and Kelly are probably some of the nicest people I've ever met. The one project that I'll always remember you for is the Road Journal. So I think you did an amazing job, man.
Thanks.
I wish there was a way people could see it now. Can they see bits and pieces of it online?
They can.
Yeah, it is an early vlog. It's
for sure.
It's so real. It's just not like anything else you see anymore. Everything else is so scripted and so produced, and this was really good. I'm not doing it justice. It was a great project.
I loved it. I mean, that was kind of my passion at that point in time, because it was something new and different, and I'd never done anything like it before. So it was, that was kind of
Well, there was talk of a network picking it up, right? At some point, there was interested parties.
There were interested parties, and then it just didn't progress. Now, I don't know why that was, but yeah, it didn't really take off. I mean, we sold a lot of DVDs.
Oh, sure.
And the main reason why was because the documentary wasn't out yet. So this was out. I have my DVD plaque on the wall. That was out, I think, 2 years earlier, a year and a half earlier than the documentary. So the documentary was taking so long to get produced, and rights and music and everything else. And I was just like, pumping them out basically. So we sold a lot of DVDs for that, and it was great. So I mean, I just did a quick search on his YouTube channel, and I've got to find those videos, because there's 2 that are on there. They're hidden, so I have to find them. They're unlisted.
All right.
But I'll,
if they're ever back online, send me a link and I'll put it in the link of this recap, because it's really good. Yeah. I mean, it's really good. So let's talk a little bit about how Eric got into video. What made you wake up one day and say, I want to spend 14 hours a day in a chair?
In this exact chair, actually.
In that specific chair.
It's comfy. It says cinema on it somewhere. There it is.
Well, there you go. There you go. See
there. So I'll give you the abridged version. So I was in high school, and I was actually, in my head, I'm like, I want to be a meteorologist. I want to be a tornado chaser. Like, it was just weather. Was it. It was all I wanted to do. And I wasn't really popular in high school, and I went to a private middle school. I grew up in a private school. So going to a public school after that, I didn't really know anybody. So I was like, I have no friends. I'm like, all right, I got to, kind of find my little niche in there. And I ended up going into the TV studio and loved just playing around with the cameras and everything else. They were all like studio cameras. They weren't, your handy cams at that point in time. So I ended up at lunchtime, I'd go downstairs, I'd get lunch, and I'd come up into the TV studio, and I would just play around with the cameras, and I'd try editing and everything else. And at that point, it was Avid on a PC, and then they had tape-to-tape editing, which was difficult as all hell. I mean,
yes,
linear editing, forget it. So time went on. I went into college, and I'm like, nope, I've got my meteorology degree. I'm going for it. And I failed pre-calc, and I went, all right, what's next? Like, I just couldn't. I didn't want to like really push myself past that, because I'm like, am I really that passionate about it? I thought to myself, I'm like, well, I like making videos. And so in high school, I had made a little, vacation videos, things like that, when my parents and I would go away, my family. And I was like, I kind of like doing that. So I went out and I bought a camera and bought a PC, a tower, and I started doing videos that way. And then that kind of slowly progressed. So at my end of my sophomore year, I ended up changing my degree to, they had finally come out with a media and film degree. So I did that. And I said, all right, I'll focus on that. Kind of rolled into it, started doing videos with kids in school and finding out like, oh, you want to do something? Here, I'll shoot it, I'll edit it. And they had the idea and they were going to act in it and everything else, and kind of did that. So that's how it just progressed. And then I did a documentary of my father, which I think we've had this conversation before. So he was stabbed 12 times in 1989 at a neighborhood barbecue. And whenever I tell somebody that story, they're like, what?
Yeah, they want you to repeat that, because that's not something you hear every day.
No. Stabbed 12 times? Yes, stabbed 12 times. And he lived. And there were 4 people that were murdered that day by a neighbor. So I said, you know what? It was the end of the year, it was middle of senior year. And I said, all right, they wanted to do this documentary or video thing, and they were going to have awards for it. So I said, all right, I'll do it on my father's story. And I went out and I shot it. And then when I came back and they said, oh, when are you going to edit it? Which class? And I said, no, I'm going to do it, at home. Is that okay? Oh yeah, that's fine. Meanwhile, all the other kids were doing all their projects in school, so only within that allotted time. So I kind of just expanded that out, and I'm working on this for 20-something hours and everything else. And I just I made it as big and as great as it could be. And that's when I kind of clicked, I'm really glad that I changed my degree, because it was awesome, and I loved doing it, and it was something that I was really passionate about. And I ended up winning an award for it for best documentary, and it was just, like I say, it's a small college, but it wasn't like it was a film school, like, oh, you got this crazy award. It was like, okay, cool, I got an award, that's awesome. But so that's how I kind of rolled into it, and then from then on, I was just doing stuff on the side. So I would be a bank teller during the day, and I'd be working with Jim Brewer. Towards the end of college was when I had an internship with him, and that turned into a full-time job after I came out of college. And then I would just do stuff on the side. I would just do fun little projects, short films, and all that kind of stuff, and kind of just get into it that way. And I just kind of built up enough experience and doing different things that I found out kind of where I wanted to go in the direction of. But now, like you said, I'm just kind of doing a lot of stuff in a bunch of different directions. But so that's really how I got started. It was ultimately, it was high school. I loved it.
See, I love that story, man. And
That's
yeah,
amazing.
you and I have talked about that story, but I really want our audience to hear that, because everyone's got a phenomenal story, and yours is amazing, and I think it's worth telling. And because a lot, on Twitter and on Facebook, we're all just names and photos, and we're very two-dimensional, and everyone's got some just a fantastic story to tell. And yours, I mean, you've got just a crazy, awesome life, and your dad is like 7'2", 280 pounds. I mean, this dude makes Brad Garrett look like a midget. It's he's a cool guy. Says, how do you get into recording sound effects, and what did the shot list look like for the gun pack?
So how did I get into recording sound effects? I said, hey, Sean. Listen, we're going to do, you're going to be recording the muzzle flashes. So should we do sound effects? Is that what we should do?
Yes, there was a need.
Okay,
for sure.
Yeah. So that's how I got into recording sound effects was.
And you've got crazy, amazing gear. I mean, just some wicked audio gear. I wish I had your gear. I don't.
I mean, I don't wish I had it. It's expensive and it's annoying. And I'm buying more and more audio stuff like this.
For those of you who've never seen Eric's apartment, which would probably be all of you, that 80% of his apartment is Pelican cases.
Yes. And,
there's and not small ones, massive, make you jealous, so organized, like wow, Pelican cases.
Yeah, I mean, it gets to the point where Kelly and I are plucking out the foam, and I'm like, okay, well, if I get a new camera, we're screwed, because now we got to pluck all this foam out again and refigure it. It's annoying. Yeah, no, there's tons. Well,
you should really be a rental house. I mean, you've got more gear than like the rental house here in Central Florida has.
That's pretty sad.
No, and it's just a testament to how much crazy gear you have.
I mean, I'd love to rent it out. I mean, look, there's a C100 Mark II. There's a Blackmagic 4K. I got two 5D Mark IIIs, and then Ronin and Glide Cam and all that kind of stuff. It's crazy. But I don't see the value in renting it when I know I'm going to use it so much.
Right.
And that's probably same thing with your Red,
Right. That, and you're sending me the Ronin, so that's not even really something you can use anymore. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. No, of course.
See? Legally binding. There we go. So, a really great story. For those of you who don't know Eric, he got a phone call a while back, not too long ago. And how does it feel to be a mentor to somebody who's 15 years younger than you, who admires you, who's like, I want to be on this path?
It was amazing. I mean, it was something that I'd never experienced before. So the way that this happened was, it was a client of mine, and I do one project a year for him, and he works at a Honda dealership. So I do this like promotional video at the end of every year, and he sends me a text. He says, "Hey, I've got a kind of a personal question to ask you. Like, can you give me a call later on?" I'm like, "What kind of personal question are we talking about here? What is this? Where's this going?" So he calls me up, and he's like, "So my son is trying to figure out where he wants to go to college, what he wants to do. He really wants to get into broadcast. Like, what am I going to do?" And I just talked with him, and he goes, explain to me like how you got started, where you are now, like how did you find out what you wanted to do, and this and that. And I told him, I said, look, my degree was an emphasis in broadcast. I'm not doing broadcast. I did not want to get into it. I saw how aggressive the market was, especially being close to New York City. And I said, I'm not a city guy. I'm not. That's why we live out in the country. So it's crazy, but it was a really really positive moment in my career of just being able to talk about where I've come from, my ups, my downs. I mean, and I flat out told him, I'm like, dude, look, if you want to be a freelancer, you got to realize you're not getting a paycheck every week. You're not getting a paycheck every 2 weeks or every month. It's, when are we eating? I don't know. Are we going to be able to pay rent this month? We've got money in savings, but okay, no. Now, no, I'm sorry. There's no money in savings right now. No, I'm sorry. We're done. Like, now, what are we going to do? And it gets to the point where you're wondering to yourself, is this a good move? Did I really just make a good decision here? But it was uplifting for me to be able to talk about everything. And it was strange because I'd never talked about it before of going from the beginning, from high school to where I am now, and talking about all these different levels and ups and downs. And, oh, great, we've got money. No, we don't. Oh, great. No, we don't. And it gets to the point where it was this constant roller coaster I'm going through talking with him. And it was cool. I mean, it was something that I'd never experienced before, and I'd love to talk with anybody else.
That's a good question. Would you do it differently?
That's a great question. Yeah.
And it's funny. Actually, my client asked me that. He goes, what would you do differently? And I said, you know what? I would just, I mean, there's really not a whole lot that I would have done differently. I'm one of the hardest workers that I know, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I mean, I will.
Absolutely are.
That's
you
true.
Absolutely are.
It's crazy. I mean, Kelly hates me for it at times, I'm sure, but
I understand that.
I mean, I'll never forget. So I'll put this in a different context. What would I do differently? What I would not do differently is I would not listen to the guy when I was filming a vacation video when I was in high school. And it was actually one of the first videos I ever did. I was walking up and I was on crutches and I'd broken my toe. And I was walking up and I'm like, oh, there's a Ferrari over there. I'm going to go check it out, right? Yeah, cool. I'm like 16, 15, however old I was. I walk up and there's a guy on his cell phone sitting in his Ferrari. And I'm like, oh, I'm filming him the entire time with my, little rinky-dink camera. And he goes, hold on a second. Do you want me to get out? I'm like, no. He goes, I'll call you back. Hangs up his phone, gets out of the car. The next video you see is me sitting in his Ferrari. And I remember him telling me, work hard. It's always worth it. And it was that, and it was that kind of moment where I just went, huh. And I look back at that and I'm like, this is why, I don't knock how hard I work. And, okay, there's nights where I'll get 4 or 5 hours of sleep. There's nights where I'll get 2 or 3 hours of sleep. But I'm constantly on that drive. I'm constantly on that, go. Yeah, we'll enjoy life. I mean, and we do, we'll splurge every now and then, but that's something that I wouldn't do differently. I wouldn't not work as hard as I am now. I mean, I know that a lot of people say one thing that I wish I wouldn't do, when they get older, is I wouldn't, I wish I didn't work so much. I wish I enjoyed life a little bit more. I can understand that probably down the line, but right now, I'm glad that I am where I am now because of how hard I work and how much I do.
Right.
So what would I do differently? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know that I would have done much differently. I mean, I worked all the time. I would film outside of working. If I'm a bank teller or I'm working with a comedian, and no, I'm just gonna keep trucking forward. I don't know. I'll think about it. What keeps you focused?
And I'll test real quick. I'll test to the hard work.
Yep.
Yes.
When I've known Eric virtually for almost a decade, but we hadn't worked together or even met personally until our first NAB. And it was a nightmare because NAB doesn't give you any help. Stephanie is amazing at organizing it, but the very first year, Steph, you have to admit, it was frightening because there's all these different things you have to do and they don't tell you, but you'll find out when you're in violation when they come by and say, oh, by the way, you're in violation or whatever. So we're struggling with that, and we're in a really terrible deal with a company who was helping us go to NAB. They were trying to steal our library, blah, blah, blah. It was a nightmare. And here comes the Hartmanns, who were not paid, by the way. We did not pay them. We flew them out and we housed them and we fed them, but we did not pay them. and they were the hardest working people I've ever seen. And I'm just like, good gracious. You just don't see this kind of work ethic in a lot of people. And that kind of solidified our friendship, for me, because you helped me in a really difficult time. You helped us when we were getting attacked from all different angles. You helped us maintain a positive presence at one of the biggest shows that we had never, shown at before. And so, you guys are family to us. We've known you guys forever, and we had a blast hanging out in New Jersey with you. But in terms of hard working, you don't get harder working than there's nobody out there who works harder than Eric.
Agreed, 100% agreed.
So just crazy hardworking. So this is a great question. What keeps you focused while you're editing? Music or dirty movies?
Well, so it's funny you mentioned movies, not dirty movies. So in my editing suite, right, my little nook in our apartment, I've got my iMac, my external monitor, and then I have a 42-inch TV up top. I have one of two things going on at all times. It's either music, Spotify, usually it's like the piano guys or something that's just like driving music. I'm not going to lie, there are times when there's one song on loop all day long, and it never gets tired for me. It just keeps driving me. And while I'm doing After Effects and everything else, I'm not focused on the editing section of like editing audio and voiceover and things like that. I can just go. The other thing that I actually do have, and it's a weird thing. I mean, I work by myself. I mean, besides Kelly, who will do stuff, but during the day, she's at her job. I'm editing at home. So what ends up happening is I will put a movie on the 42-inch up above. I don't really watch it. It's more listening because I'm alone. I have Bailey, my creative director. She's somewhere. She's probably sleeping or licking herself right now. I don't know.
Nice.
So she's here, and every now and then she'll kind of nudge me and she'll want to play and everything else. But other than that, it's kind of lonely. So really what keeps me focused is it's that audio from the movies that are just kind of there just to kind of hear something, or it's just driving music.
So I know what kind. I love the Piano Guys. You turned us on to them, and we listened to their Christmas album every year as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know two movies that you love, but why don't you tell everybody what kind of movies that you love and that inspire you?
That's a good question, because I was thinking about this and I'm like, oh God, I don't really know.
Okay,
I mean,
maybe not inspiration. What franchise do you just love and adore, regardless of how ridiculous these films are?
They are not inspirational. Are you referring to Cars?
Yes, but not the movie Cars.
Not Pixar. No, you're referring to the Fast and the Furious.
Yes. Okay. Which, by the way, that attraction opens in 7 months here in Orlando, so you got to come down.
I'll be down.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's. I mean, look, I grew up with cars, and I was into the whole street racing scene and everything else, and yeah, I was in a car club, and yeah, we street raced, and it's like, yeah, that was back in the day, but that was all the rage back then was, this street racing thing. And so when the Fast and the Furious came out, that was like my big, like, whoa, that's awesome. And as they kind of grew up, I'm going to say, and once you hit Fast 5, it kind of went into the more action movie kind of thing. But yeah, no, that's definitely, that's one of my more favorite franchises, just for the sake of nostalgia, really. And there are days on that 42-inch monitor, in 2 days, I will go through all 7 movies. And it's just, I just like it. I don't know. I'm crazy. You know that.
You'll definitely have to come down and check out the ride, because
yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna want to be a part.
You're gonna like it, actually. You're gonna so Graham. Graham won't ever use his own account. He's trying to sneak in under his wife's account. He says, as a small business owner in this industry, what is your biggest challenge? And that's that compounds on what we've already been talking about. You do a little bit of everything, and at the same time, you're an entrepreneur. So it's like, how do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, it honestly, the biggest challenge is work-life balance. I mean, hands down, it's work-life balance, because the way that I look at it is, when I'm not working, I'm wasting time. I don't want to sit on the couch and watch, Walking Dead. People are like, oh, you're watching what? No, I'm not watching Walking Dead. I'm too busy working. You know, like
it's after dark. You can say whatever you want, man. Don't worry about it.
I'm fucking working.
There you go. There you go. Our rating just went up.
No, it's like I feel like I'm wasting time. And I mean, yes, like Kelly and I will go out and do stuff, but I feel like if I'm not working, I'm wasting. And so that's my biggest problem is I have a really hard time knowing when to say no and knowing when to turn off my iMac. It's just, I have a very hard time hitting that power button and hitting eject on all of my drives to kind of turn everything off. And even then, even when I'm like sitting on the couch, it's like, oh, an email came through. Is that a client? Hold on, let me check. Nope, it's not a client. Okay. And it's just, that's seriously the biggest challenge. And that is because there is so much going on. There's all the corporate work in pharmaceutical, and there's all the photography going on, and there's weddings and things of that nature. And it's just like, there's just so much. And it gets to a point where it's like, yikes. Like, I need to kind of just like, just kind of just tone it down a little bit. Well, but then I get back. Once I get down.
Cheers to the entrepreneur life, my friend.
Cheers. Eric. Can I take a 10-second break?
Sure.
Okay, I'll be right back. I'm wearing pants, by the way, Sean.
See, you violated the contract, man. We had an agreement. I'm not, so I can't stand up, or I can. Hey, Neil, sorry that you called in. I'm sorry I missed it. I was texting Stephanie. I apologize. I saw that you called in. We got Neil coming up on the show sometime soon, right, Steph?
The 2nd of June.
Nice. That's coming up quick. Mm-hmm. Nice. I like how you have bourbon just within reach of your... Eric, I like how you have bourbon just within reach of your workstation. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so close.
So let's do the cheers again. Cheers to entrepreneurship, my friend.
Amen.
All right. So we have another great question. How upfront are you about prices, and at what point in the sale do you drop that bomb?
I need to take another sip for that one.
See, I'm up front straight with mine. I'm just like, here, take it or leave it, because I don't want to work on your project. So
right. That's so true. So here's the thing. My pharmaceutical work is 100% hourly. There were times when I would go and say like, oh no, okay, so for this project, it's going to cost estimated about X amount of dollars. I stopped doing that because they don't care about revisions. They don't care how many times the work has to come back to you and do it. They don't want to have to worry about that. It's just like, okay, you're so much an hour, it's done. And that's just, that's how it is with that. In terms of corporate stuff, I have base prices, weddings and things like that have their own kind of, here's my day rate. A lot of the marketing and promotional videos like that are, here's a day rate, here's an editing rate, you get 2 rounds of revisions, so that's your base price. And then, yeah, it does come back where they're like, oh, what can we do about this? Well, not a whole lot. I mean, I'm looking at this as, when I was just doing a conference, I was pricing out my day rate for my shooting and then a flat editing rate. Now, I was also looking at that and I said, well, let me just see how much it would cost me to rent all of my gear. 2 cameras, 2 lenses, 3 microphones, an audio recorder, a mixer. And I kind of broke it down. I went, holy crap. Like, I mean, it would have been like $1,200 for the week to rent, or actually I think it was more than that.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
But yeah, no. But I was just like, whoa, okay. So that if I would have had to rent gear, that gets expensive. Mm-hmm. But I kind of calculated that out, and I didn't obviously charge them for the rental because I own it. But just kind of in my head for that fact. So I mean, when do I drop the bomb? I mean, it's quite honestly, it's up front. It has to be. I mean, it's just like, hey, look, here's your pricing. I mean, I want to learn a little bit about what they want to do and everything else. I mean, I've done work for like Better Homes and Gardens and other kind of bigger corporate things where it's like, okay, hey, what's your budget? Well, we kind of need to get an idea of this and that. And they kind of dance around that line where it's like, we don't want to tell you because if we tell you 20 grand, you're going to go, all right, fine, 15, haha. When I would have came in and went 3, I don't know, 4,000.
Right.
So it's a fine line. But I mean, a lot of the times it's just like, okay, well, where's it being shown? Is it a commercial? Is it an internal only video? Is this being shown, globally? Like, what is it? And I kind of touch on those kind of prices for that. And that is honestly where the spikes come in. Because if I'm doing something that's huge, that's internal, that's going to go to some, real estate conference, the price is going to go up than me making a 30-second video that's only going to live on YouTube and go on their website for 2 months and they're going to take it off. So, yeah. Neil's back on the road. Oh.
Neil's always on the road, man. This guy is just always somewhere where, it's like, it's just amazing where this guy is like either on a cruise ship giving a lecture, or he's talking in Tampa, or now he's in Orlando. Now he's going to Jacksonville. I mean, the dude is always on the grind.
Nice. When you hit Jersey, let me know.
Yeah. keep heading north.
Drinks on me.
Okay, so we've talked all about, you have your beginnings and talking about like things that you would change. You've talked about being a mentor. What would you tell yourself at 21, coming out of college and getting ready to start this? What would you tell yourself now that you didn't to that person then?
I would tell that person, I would just tell them, work, because it's well worth it, and just work hard. I mean,
yeah, we all didn't get the Morpheus Ferrari story, man. I wasn't walking down the street and some rich guy's like, here, come sit on my lap and I'll tell you what it's going to be like in the future. That never happened to me.
I mean, listen, that happened to me, but it wasn't. I mean, it was a white panel van. I think it said Candy with a K.
Nice. Oh. So you would just tell your young self, it's worth the work. Just keep your head down, keep on the grind. Is that what you'd say?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I'll play video games.
Mm-hmm.
Are video games going to make me money? Are they really going to make me a better editor? No, they're not. It's good for that kind of, that all right, I'll bring myself down and kind of relax a little bit. But I would just tell myself, just keep working, keep trucking through it. Don't stop. It doesn't matter how many haters there are, how many people that are trying to stop you. Don't stop. And I've had it. And I know you have too. But I mean, you've had more than your fair share of it. But I mean, it's just like, no. When somebody tells you you can't do something, it's not true. It is not true.
Agreed.
Use it as fire. That's what we say.
Mm-hmm.
Use that negativity to propel you forward. And if you say I can't do that, I'm going to prove you wrong real fast. So That's what we do. Yep.
Amen.
Yeah. I love getting emails from our competition and from our haters. It's just like, all right, well, you just poked the dragon next, So we got a great question here. What's the biggest mistake you've made other than being on this show?
It's terrible. The worst mistake I've ever made. It was actually, and I know she's not watching. It was one of my wife's best friends. And I had said, okay, I had done 2 weddings prior to that. And I said, I'm going to do your wedding for you. That's going to be your wedding gift.
Uh-oh.
I need another sip here. Hold on.
Uh-oh. This sounds good.
This hurt. So I got sued. No, I didn't get sued. I was in the middle of shooting an independent film. And this was a weekend that her wedding was on. And we were shooting on a Friday, the Friday before her wedding. And then we shot on the Sunday after her wedding. So I shot Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, let's just say it's 10, 11, 12, because that's what June is. So the 10th I shot, captured all the footage, put it all on the computer, right? On the 11th, wiped off the cards, shot the wedding, came home, went out on the 12th, said, oh yeah, I captured all the footage, wiped off the fucking cards, shot the feature, came home on that week and went, where's the wedding? Where's the wedding footage? Did not have it. And I was beyond devastated with myself because I'm like, that is not like me, because I'll have 2 backups of everything. Not back in the HDV tapes days. I always have a backup. And I just could not believe that all of my hard drives, and I had like 20 They were all like, little like 500 gig portable ones and everything scattered. And I'm like, you cannot tell me I do not have that footage. So I lost the wedding footage.
Oh.
And so I felt, it wasn't a paid gig, but at the same point in time, like I felt freaking horrible because of that. And I still do. And it's something that I will never, ever, ever again make that mistake.
Good.
Always
gracious.
back up your cards. Even like, so this past week I was shooting a conference. And so I had my 5D Mark III and my C100, and they were both recording, and each camera had a backup that was already recorded. So one was so the C100 was going to both internal cards. The 5D was going to itself and a Ninja 2. I came home, backed up all the footage onto my system, and then I backed that up to my server at my parents' house. And even then, the next day I went, do I have everything? And it's just so the mistake of that actually made me a better backup person, to be honest.
Wow. Well, I appreciate your honesty. You know what I love about Blab, and more importantly, what I love about our community is I don't need to ask any questions. Y'all are doing all this for me. There's literally a queue of questions for you. It's just, so let's just attack them here one by one. Yeah. Petra/Graham says, I've started playing with HitFilm. Have you used it? And if so, what are your thoughts on this platform?
I have not used HitFilm. To be honest, I don't really know much about it. So do you know what it is?
Yeah, we're working with the makers of HitFilm right now. We have a meeting soon, right? Okay, Steph just walked away.
Hold on, I'm fixing my light. It just went out.
Okay. Well,
Sorry.
But yes, we have a meeting with, we're working with the HitFilm people. Is that right, Steph?
That's correct. They want to have a meeting, and
yeah, we met with them at NAB. I think it's a great software. I think it's very powerful for people who don't want to use After Effects or Fusion. The great thing about HitFilm is it represents a paradigm shift in our industry. You can be really hot and horny about wanting to know how to do every single visual effects technique, and that's fine. There's places for those people. I love visual effects and I love getting down to the nitty gritty, but the truth of the matter is that filmmakers, people who want to tell a story, they have an idea, they have to have this thing, but they don't necessarily care about how it needs to get made. And HitFilm empowers these filmmakers and these storytellers to make really good looking effects without having to put a whole lot of effort, or it's not as complicated. Nice. I think there's place for both. I think if you're a hardcore visual effects person, you're going to learn, a nodal based compositor, or, maybe After Effects or something. But HitFilm allows filmmakers to tell and edit their story and add visual effects without really jumping into anything serious compositing wise.
Very cool.
So let's see. For weddings, do you think DSLR is just as good as a dedicated camera, or should a person go 4K? Those are several questions in one there.
All right. So when I first started shooting weddings, it was on a 7D, Canon 7D. And then I upgraded and I got a second body. So I got a 5D Mark III. And then I ended up selling the 7D, bought another 5D Mark III. And so the last 4 weddings that we've shot have all been on 5D Mark III. I liked it until I went on the Wedding Videographers Forum on Facebook, and I said, hey, I'm looking into getting a C100 Mark II. What do you think? And everybody said nothing but great things about the C100. And I'm like, I wonder, what makes it so great, right? Well, it's a video camera. It's not a still camera that does video. It's a dedicated video camera.
Right.
Your built-in XLRs, your zebras, your peaking, your ND filters. It's just like, it brings me back to my Canon XH-A1 days that I was shooting on with Jim when we were on tour. With all those controls were right there. You didn't have to have an external monitor in order to provide it. The codec is okay. Not a big fan of it, but you can always shoot to your Ninja and go full ProRes. Right. Honestly, I'm really looking forward to shooting on the C100 for weddings. I really am. The way that I did my last couple of weddings was we had our 2 5D Mark IIIs, and then I had my Blackmagic 4K, the one in the middle there. And that 4K was always, for the ceremonies, in the back on a tripod, wide. Like, pretty much wide. As wide as I could go on it. And this way I could punch in and do, okay, well, let me just punch into the center here, or let me get the groomsmen or the bridesmaids or whatever. And it didn't really need to have any movement to it. It was just nice that I had it as kind of a backup kind of camera for it. 4K. That's kind of the reason as to why I got the C100 Mark II. It's like I kind of bought a brand new camera that's not 4K, even though the last camera I bought was 4K. Is it necessary? I don't think it's necessary to go 4K. It's nice. It's a nice to have. It's not really a need to have, at least in my opinion at this point. I know that a lot of people have bought 4K TVs as of recently, but how are you still delivering them? You know, like I still have people that are requesting DVDs, standard DVDs, and I'm actually burning a bunch right now. So it's just mind-boggling as to how people aren't even asking for Blu-rays. I've never burned a Blu-ray DVD, a Blu-ray. I've never burned a Blu-ray ever. It's either online or it's on a USB drive, which is all I do. USB. That's it.
Nice. That's cool.
I like how we deliver our weddings. Awesome. Yeah, it's a little promotion, you know.
Hey. Nice. All right.
So I wouldn't necessarily go 4K. I would just go more dedicated video. At least the last. I mean, I've only shot 2 things on it, but I am amazed with the C100. So I would say absolutely dedicated video. Don't go DSLR. It's just kind of skimping. You still have to build out your rig and everything. Get your audio. Throw on a monitor. It's like that's why I got the C100. Everything's built in.
What are your thoughts of shooting ProRes versus transcoding to ProRes?
You mean in terms of like a Ninja and recording?
Right. Either shooting to a Ninja to shoot directly to ProRes or the Blackmagic or whatever versus transcoding, because there is a difference. I'm just curious as to what you think about it.
I mean, I love the fact that my Blackmagic shoots direct to ProRes. And I mean, in the very beginning, it would only shoot HQ, and it's just like your file sizes are just enormous. Mm-hmm. So that was a serious jump in file size for me. The thing for me is I don't do a whole lot of broadcast. I mean, I've only done 2 or 3 commercials that have made it to actual air on TV. So I don't necessarily need the massive files. A lot of my stuff is still online delivery. It's still a lot of like USB and everyone's watching it on their computers or, you know, their TVs, and they want it on a DVD. So I don't necessarily see the need for it, at least in the work that I'm doing. When I deliver to my corporate clients and pharma, it's all H.264. They're all MPEG-4s. That's it. So in terms of shooting, though, I mean, yeah, the quality is obviously amazing, but for a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, it's not a true necessity for me, at least at this point.
We love the Ninja 2. It's great. We ended up getting one. The only we have in house is the Red, and shooting our vlog on the Red is beyond overkill. So, you know, a 5K 40-minute vlog does not transcode well. So yeah, we love the Ninja going straight to ProRes. It's just an obscene amount of transcoding. It's like when you got this crappy little vlog, and it's like, oh, we'll see you in 4 hours. I'm like, this just doesn't feel right. This just doesn't feel right.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine your file sizes out of the Red have just got to be insane.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 just here on my workstation. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 180 terabytes, and it's all full. All full. You know, just the second we start making a profit, I'm like, hey, Steph, I need a hard drive. And she's like, no.
I think that's the question I hear most. We need a new hard drive. We need a new hard. Yep.
Yeah. I just got 2 of these today because I need backups.
That's the other thing that you've been, phenomenal about is, you're one of my trusted circle. I think we do it for each other, but every time there's a gear question or a problem, it's quick text. Hey man, here's the situation. And you helped us. I have a love-hate relationship with the Drobo, but you helped me get decent drives in there and figure out what to do. It's great for what it does. You know, for us, it's purely archival, so it's fine. But now we're taking it to another level where we need shared storage, because now Stephanie's doing just as much production as I am, and now she's across the building. But that's what I love about you, man. It's just I'm like, hey man, I'm doing this thing. What do you recommend? And you told us what drives to get, and it was great. Paul, we're so many questions behind. Dave just asked a great question, but back in the day, Paul asked, "What's your backup system? How do you back up?"
All right, so originally, it was not a good backup system. It was put it on the Drobo, and I was thinking to myself, oh, well, it's a RAID 5, right? It's okay. If a drive fails, it's fine. No. And I learned that quickly because my Drobo had filled up and it wouldn't mount.
Yep.
And I almost lost 16 terabytes worth of footage. And I went, okay. That was the day. Actually, it was before that, but I had gotten a Pegasus 2 R6. And I had bought the base model that was 12 terabytes or 18 terabytes. I forget what it was. I think it was 12 terabytes. It was 6 2-terabyte drives. Pulled them out, and I put in the maximum 4 terabyte capacity drives that Pegasus had said that was on their compatibility list. So I have a Drobo, which is 20 terabytes, 16 terabytes is usable, and then I have my Pegasus 2 R6, which is 24 terabytes, again RAID 5, so that's 20 terabytes available. And then I just have random. That's why this sucker came in yesterday, or actually today. I got 2 4 terabytes, so I'm just doing like bare drives. The conference that I just shot this past week was 2.5 terabytes, and that's with backups. That's recording the Ninja and the double cards and everything else. So I have a feeling I'll be around like 1.5 terabytes total for that. But what I did with that is I backed it up to an external drive. That external drive goes to my server, which is in-house, and that's a Synology DS415 Plus. Every night at 11 p.m., it gets backed up to my offsite server, which is identical. And they're both 16 terabytes. They are RAID 0 because I want the fastest speed in-house, and then the backup is offsite. So one of them fails, I still got the other one. It's fine. So that's my sort of backup service for that. Everything else with my iMac is just carbon copy cloner. Every week, consistently, every week, every Sunday, it backs up. This way, God forbid something were to go, that's fine. And then I've got a 480 gig SSD as my cache drive, which houses all of my previews and everything for After Effects and Premiere and Media Encoder and everything else. But it also has all my autosave projects. So God forbid my computer takes a dump and the Drobo is dead and it didn't back up in time, I still have all my autosaves. So at the very least, I have lost the last like 15 minutes, or very most rather. So that's kind of my thing. I just have all my autosaves kind of going in various places and things like that. Hope that made sense.
No, yeah, it does. It absolutely does. Not sure. Dave asks, would you say most of the stuff is straight to the web these days for you?
For me, yes. A lot of what I do is straight to the web, with the exception of this conference that I just shot is DVD because people want to buy them. I don't know why. I just feel like everything should either be on like an SD card or a USB drive or something of that nature. But with the exception of a 2 or 3 projects a year, everything's web. A lot of my clients are just like, oh, just give me a link. Okay. And I'll give them a link. I'll upload it to my server and I'll send them a download link, which is, my server acts kind of like Dropbox in that sense. So it's just like, okay, well, just send us the file and that's it. And it's done. So a lot of the stuff is web. I mean, or it's all internal. And at that point, I don't know where they're putting it, but it's not going on the website. It's kind of streaming at that point. But yeah, the majority is the web.
Yes, let's do a drink here real quick. Are you out, Steph?
I just poured myself some new stuff.
Nice.
See, I wasn't smart. I didn't bring the bottle over. I just kind of
I just have a little bottle.
You should bring the bottle over. That's straight gangster right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that is.
So you've been on the... Well, hey, I guess he left. All right. Good night.
Good night.
Oh, you do have a bottle. Nice.
Yeah, no, that's for a friend.
Nice. You're a good friend.
I try.
So you've been using Whipster since its inception. What do you think about the future of collaborative software?
Here's the thing. Vimeo. I bought a Vimeo Pro subscription, and liked it. when I did the review process, I didn't really love it. I mean, it was just kind of gray and flat, and it didn't really do a whole lot. You know, clients still had to type in the comments of what they wanted to do, and that was the first thing that I did for Better Homes and Gardens. That was what we worked on, and I didn't like it. It was not kind of doing what I needed to do. And I forget how I found out about Whipster, if it was through you or Kevin.
We had kind of a love affair with Whipster at NAB, and they're just really great people. And that's, you know,
for sure.
They were our booth mates at NAB. And so that's how, you know, I think you met them by working at our booth and walking over going, what is it that you do again? You know?
Yeah, no, I absolutely did. And I mean, Rolo was great. And I mean, I only met him for, you know, whatever. We chatted every day a little bit, but really, really nice guy. And it was cool because I went in the beginning and I just kind of did the free thing. And I'm like, let me feel it out and see how it works. And every client that I've given it to has said to me, this is different. I like it. I had one client that said, thank you so much for showing this to me because it's so different and unique. And it's very collaborative. And I'm like, well, that's what it's about, right? It's about getting the client and the producer together and kind of figuring out everything. So I mean, it's great. I love it. I mean, they're constantly adding new features. They just added that Premiere Pro panel. I was a beta tester for it, and it's great. I mean, it puts all of your notes right on the timeline for you, and you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, you've been with them since the inception. Dave wanted to know if you've used Frame.io as well. I mean, right now there is probably a dozen applications in the same space across different markets. So have you used Frame.io at all?
I signed up for it when it first came out, and that was, I believe they came out after Whipster. And I tried it, and I didn't really jump too far into it because the layout for me was just different than what I was used to in Whipster at that point in time. Right. And I said, well, if I'm going to do one thing, I'm going to stick to one thing. So I'd rather just go to Whipster and not figure out the whole Frame.io layout and how to share things and everything else. So I steered away from Frame.io. And there's obviously nothing wrong with it, but they both have their pluses and minuses from what I've seen. I haven't tried Frame.io since I've been a pro user at Whipster. So I don't know what's changed. I know it does have extreme, you know, similar functionality and whatnot, but I'm a Whipster fan.
I'm a Whipster fan too, because regardless of whether or not the product is better or worse, I like the people behind it, and everyone at Whipster has been always so really great and kind to us. We use Frame.io with a client, a director I work for insists on using Frame.io, and it's fine. I think the number of emails that I get from the founder of Frame.io is obnoxious. I get it. They want you to get really. It's like they're trying to be like the next Red, where they really want to indoctrinate you into their thing. It's great for what it is, but for on the client side of things, Vimeo has it hands down. If I had to show a Disney client Frame.io, their head would explode. They just would be like, no, you can just FTP it or Dropbox it. I don't care. Send it to me in email. You know. Let's see. What's your next piece of gear? Someone's just asked.
What's my next piece of gear? Probably another C100 Mark II. I'm not going to lie.
Nice. B-cam.
Because here's the thing. Somebody said on the wedding videographers forum, they said, don't buy the C100 Mark II if you never want to buy a different another camera again, because you're going to love it and you're never going to want to go back to a DSLR. And I'm like, all right, whatever. No, he was right. He was absolutely right.
Yeah.
I love the camera. So that's probably going to be the next purchase that I will make, besides my Yeti.
Yeti. See, I'm jealous, Steph. He got a murdered out one. I don't even understand this.
Yeah, how did you get a black one? We only have silver ones.
Yeah,
it's called the blackout.
Yeah, we're sitting around here like suckers.
Now, what do you have? You have the silver, the white?
Yeah,
what is it?
Yeah, we have the silver.
Yeah.
They didn't come out with this all white and all black nonsense until recently. We got the original one, and now we're like, oh, I guess we're OG, I guess.
OG.
Yeah, I mean, their new one is called Whiteout. I don't know if they have to like pay a royalty to Bic or anything for like, you know,
I would imagine, yeah.
Does anybody even remember what whiteout was? It now
Probably
we
not.
don't use whiteout anymore.
No, but it's great for sniffing. If you're out of caffeine, just and I'm back to After Effects, baby.
That's why I keep Sharpies next to me.
Right.
It just works.
So Dave had a great question. Do you use Adobe Clip Notes or?
I do not. To be honest, I haven't gotten into it. I will kind of look into it and see what that can kind of offer for me. But no, I haven't used Clip Notes. And some people even ask me like, oh, do you use Adobe Bridge? I'm like, no, I use Finder. Like, why do I need to use Adobe Bridge? But I'm so focused on editing and doing everything else that I don't jump into those different programs to see what they can offer me. And it was by pure happenstance that I ended up getting involved with Whipster to figure out this whole collaboration thing. But no, I haven't. So I'll definitely look into it. Yeah.
So what's next?
Well, let's see. We're running into all these people's questions. I've lost where my questions were. So, I find it. See, you and I have vastly different theories. Stephanie and I want to move to New York City. I want to live, on the 50th floor of something and have my studio beneath where we live in and have the cats looking over 500 feet above. I really want that. You are the opposite.
I am.
You live a stone's throw away from what my opinion is the greatest city on earth. We've met a lot of people in video. The BCPC's out there. It's incredibly, they're phenomenal people. But New York is a crazy competitive environment. But it's not any different in Jersey because most of the people we meet in New York live in Jersey because apparently it's impossible to live in New York unless you want to live on a bench.
Yeah, I mean, it's very expensive to live in New York City. I have friends that live there. I really don't know how they do it. A lot of them don't have cars.
Right.
Coincidentally, the other videographer that was with us who produced the documentary for Jim Brewer lives in Brooklyn. I don't know if he still lives in Brooklyn, but he did at the time, and he was like, I don't have a car. Like,
well, why would you?
Right. No, you wouldn't. So you don't think about those things of like saving the car insurance money, the gas. Yeah, you still have to take a cab or the subway or whatever, but I never thought of those things. But it was like a studio apartment. I'm like, I would lose myself. I'd lose my mind. I like to have the kind of space like, Kelly and I are looking at houses and things like that. And we're like, oh yeah, 2 acres of land, an acre of land. Like, I can't imagine being like,
so just buy an acre of property in New York City. What's the problem?
Right. Of course. Yeah.
I don't see the problem.
It's cheap. Yeah, no. The thing for us is we like to visit the city. We don't like rooftop garden. Yes.
For real.
We like to visit the city. We'd rather live in the country. And Billy, the guy who was filming the documentary, he always told me, he goes, I prefer to live in the city and visit the country. So
for
it's
real.
like, it's that two different, yeah, for sure.
I like the electricity. I'm very inspired by everything. You just walk down any street in New York City and it's so vibrant, and then you realize your wallet's missing and that's exciting,
But like, wait a minute, which one of these 90 people that just walked past me stole it?
I absolutely love New York, but I swear every time I go on the subway, I feel like my hands are burning. Like I have to like burn my shoes, get all new clothes. Yeah. But I love New York. It's so awesome.
It is. It's a great city for sure. And there's obviously a lot to do. It seriously is the city that never sleeps. There's no doubt.
Tell us the story about you bringing gear into the city on the subway.
So that was actually, I was going to see Billy in Brooklyn, and I had my glide cam because he was curious how it was calibrated and whatnot. And this is my first time on the subway. And I swear to God, I felt two different ways about it. I went, somebody's seeing that I've got this piece of equipment that looks expensive, but then I could also use it as a weapon. So am I safe? Am I not safe? I have no idea. And it was just, I'm sitting on the subway and I've got it laying across my lap, and I'm just kind of like, what is going to happen next? And there's like people that are yelling, and there's bottles, and I'm like, oh no, like what's going to go on? So it was an interesting experience. I don't like the subway. I really don't.
I love it. I think it's amazing.
I mean, it's different. It's there's rats. That's just we don't see rats in the country.
We've never seen rats.
No.
Never seen
Really?
rats. Really?
Oh, dude,
Really.
that time I saw 4 rats that night. I'm like, oh
yeah,
no.
Now see, I know Brooklyn's getting better, but from what I've been told is that all the trains going to Brooklyn are have a lot more characters than the trains that we ride in Manhattan or whatever. So,
Gotcha. We get the drunk trains coming home from
New
York and New Jersey.
We took that train.
Yeah.
I almost got into a fist fight. That was a questionable train. Like I'm just sitting there with Steph minding my own business, and some dude's doing this. Can I help you?
That's a true story. It really happened.
And I'm looking at Steph like, what's going on? He's just like, so I'm like, if I was gonna get in a fight, it'd be in New Jersey.
Yeah. Agreed.
So what's your go-to software? I mean, are you an Adobe guy, or are you even willing to give Final Cut a chance, or is it all Creative Cloud all the time? What is it?
All Creative Cloud, 100%.
Nice.
So when I first started editing in high school, it was Avid on a PC.
Mm-hmm.
I never owned Avid. It was only at the high school. And then when I bought my PC, I went to Premiere because that was the go-to kind of software, whatever. And it was, that was Premiere Pro 6.0. Yeah, that was the early on one. Way before CC, obviously. So loved it. Started working with it, and then in 2007, I went to this action film workshop where we had done 3 short films in 14 days, and so it was shot and edited, and I had to learn Final Cut. It was Final Cut Pro 7 at the time, or 6 at the time, and I had to learn it on a tower. Like, I've never touched the Mac before in my life, and it was a little nervous because I'm like, I don't know how to necessarily edit in this. Is it going to be the same? Is it going to be different? What's going to happen? So I ended up editing in Final Cut Pro 6, and I went, I love this. And when I went home, I bought a Mac Mini and kind of went from there. So bought a Mac, had Final Cut Pro 6, and then 7, and then X came out, and I went, oh, X, yes! Downloaded it. Within 24 hours, I contacted Apple and said, I need a refund. I'm like, this is ridiculous. No XML. It killed me. And I'm like, it's iMovie Pro. And I know it's come so far from where it was back in whatever that was, 2010 or 11 or whenever it came out. It's come so far. And I haven't given it a chance again. Once I got that, I mean, yeah, I know, Steph, you said it's an acquired taste. Once I got that bad taste in my mouth, I went, no, tequila, no. I'll stick to the bourbon. And I went right back to Premiere, and I was able to pick it right back up, and I just ran with it. And for me, it was the integration with After Effects, because I do so much work in After Effects.
Yeah.
Dynamic link, yes, but it was more of the fact that it was like, the Photoshop, the Illustrator, way of being able to just import, Photoshop files and Illustrator files and have those layers and be able to animate them properly. And then I could go into Illustrator and save out a different one and hit save, and I go into After Effects and it's all updated, and everybody talks to each other, and it was all great. So for me, it was that integration that really sold me on it. And I think that's honestly my hesitation with going back to Final Cut and learning that different way of editing where the timeline is different, that magnetic timeline and everything else. It just kind of, I'll be honest, it's a little, I don't know. I don't know that I necessarily want to learn another piece of software again to go back to that.
It's definitely different. It is because I learned Final Cut 7 first,
mm-hmm.
and then went from that to Premiere because that's what Sean was using, and it was very similar. Once you know Final Cut 7, the crossover to Premiere was very easy, and then Final Cut 10 came out, and I was like, well, let me give it a try, and I picked it up first, and I was like, oh, that was at the very beginning, so it wasn't the best. It had a lot of bugs, and it was very difficult to understand the magnetic timeline, and everybody was bad-mouthing it, so I was like, well, I'm going to put that away. I'm not going to even bother with it, and I went back to Premiere, and then it started getting updates, and I was like, I'm going to try this again and give it a try and see how it works, and now I'm like really fast, and I can edit like with the shortcuts that it has, and Sean will watch me, and I'm like, boom, into the timeline, and I know how to put the gaps in to bypass the magnetic timeline and using the position tool. I mean, there's all these tricks that you can do to get around that stuff, but you have to learn that, and it's a completely different way of editing, where the layers are there, but they're not there. So where Premiere, you have all the layers in there, so it's interesting. And I like when Sean looks and he's like, because he came over today, I was having an audio issue, and he came in, he's like, ugh, what is on your screen? Get it away. So yeah, it's very funny to see the difference between how far Final Cut has come in the very short time it's been out. It hasn't been out very long.
Yeah, for sure.
It's an acquired taste.
yeah, that's understandable.
So I have a fun fact. Let's. I have a fun question to ask.
All right.
Let's
do I need more bourbon?
I don't think so. Not for this one.
All right.
Tell the room how many black belts you have.
I have one black belt. Only one. So I started karate. You only do need one. But I'm not a triple black belt as Sean thinks I am.
Oh, I've been telling everybody you're a triple black belt. I've been like getting fights started. Like, hey, this guy's got a triple black belt, and he's talking about your mom. So,
no. So I have one black belt, and I love it.
It's made of leather.
It is. I mean, listen, when you come to New Jersey next, Sean, the belt's coming out.
Hey,
a little 50 Shades of Sean there.
Hey.
So
I'm open.
I got it when I was 14, and I started karate. I was around 8 or 9, I think. That was when I really started to get into it. And then by age 13, I was actually teaching classes because I was so far advanced in it, and everyone knew that they could trust me with it and everything else. And so I taught tots, so it was like the 3-year-olds all the way up to seniors, and I did special ed and everything else, and it was cool. So, but yeah, uno black belt.
See, if I was you, I'd be sitting in the subway wearing a sailor suit, just trying to stir up trouble. That's all.
Right.
And I'd have a friend in the corner with a camera, and I'd have a viral YouTube series, but I don't have a
on my glide cam, right?
Right, there you go.
Okay, yeah.
Well, it is. Wow, we've been going for a lot longer than we know. Oh, well, someone just asked another question. Do you credit that for your work ethic? Do you think karate helped you build your work ethic?
I would say that's definitely part of it. I mean, a lot of how I was raised with that was yes, sir, yes, ma'am. And growing up, I would say yes, ma'am to a woman who's in her 30s or something. And sometimes you get that look like, why are you calling me ma'am? And it's just like, that's just what it was. It was always yes, sir, yes, ma'am. It was always very respectful, and you had your seniority and all that kind of stuff. So I would say, yeah, that definitely probably has a part of my work ethic. I would say it's definitely played a part in my life, no doubt. But definitely something for the work ethic.
That's awesome. For anybody who wants to find out more about you or your company, where do we send them?
sealightentertainment.com. You will end up on a landing page. That's been up for about a year.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've been under construction for a while.
Yeah. No. Well, see, the problem is I'm redoing it myself. So the biggest issue is I'm trying to find time, not working and making money, to spend work on the website that will make me money, but isn't going to make me money directly. And I'm working on it, and I'm wasting time.
You should probably stop wasting time on live chat shows.
I probably should. should. Yeah.
Well, we are very appreciative that you came on tonight and shared your experiences and your story, and it's wonderful to talk to you. We always talk all the time, but it is great to have you on the show and talk formally about your background and where you've come from, and that's great. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, we absolutely love and adore Eric and Kelly and Bailey. I got to meet Bailey for the first time. What was it during the shoot?
Yeah, I mean, your face almost blew up like a like a watermelon, but it's fine. We're good.
yeah. For whatever reason, as I've gotten older, I've become allergic to dogs, which is sad because I really want like a 11D. But that's, whatever. Final Cut Steph says no. So we have 45 cats instead. We really need to get like cat cams or something going, make some money off these things. They need to at least earn some money. But thank you so much, Eric. Thank you. This is
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everyone who joined in. Thank you, Dave, for all your great questions. Neil, Paul, thank you. Did you see the clown? I don't know your actual real name.
Graham.
Oh, Philip. Okay. Philip. Thank you, Philip. Graham, who left. Petra, Graham. Thank you, Paul. Everybody who joined in. Neil. It's so great that we have all these people come in and be a part of this. Like I said before, everyone's got a cool, unique story. We're all on similar paths, but dramatically different paths. So I love your story is phenomenal. Everyone's got a great story. So if you want to be on the show, Steph, tell them what to do.
Head on over to rampantlive.com. There's a link there that you can email, or you can email me at sales@rampantdesigntools.com as well. And we'd love to have you on the show. There's all the past episodes are on rampantlive.com as well. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern.
So right on. Thank you. That's going to be the poster frame right there, buddy. There you go. There's the poster frame. Oh, wait. Steph, do it one more time. One more time, Steph. Hold it. Oh, Steph, you blew it. All right. So, wow. That's going to be a GIF. I'm going to definitely make that a GIF, Eric.
Oh,
all right.
God.
So thank you so much, everybody. Steph, tell everybody what the website is one more time, and we'll head home.
Check us out at rampantlive.com.
Right on. Thank you, Eric.
All right. Thank you.
Eric.
Hugs and kisses to the family. We love you so much. You're an amazing human being. Thank you so much for your time. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Bye.
Peace out. Every time. Peace out, brother. Later.